The same curfew, the same protest, the same detention center in Newark, New Jersey. But open the Hill, and the headline leads with two words: protesters, police clash. Open the New York Times, and the headline leads with something almost opposite. A governor calls for calm. One outlet hands you conflict, the other hands you composure. Same night, same facts. This is AI Command App Media Lens. Here's the underlying event, stripped of spin. Outside Delaney Hall, a privately run immigration detention center in Newark, demonstrators and law enforcement clashed over consecutive nights. Early Sunday, Newark Mayor Ras Baraka ordered a mandatory curfew for the half-mile area surrounding the facility. State officials, including New Jersey's governor, urged people to stay calm. The protests are tied to reported conditions inside the center. That's the event. Now watch how two newsrooms dressed it. First, The Hill. Its headline, Newark Mayor Orders Curfew as Protesters Police Clash. The actor is the mayor, the action is the curfew, and the framing verb clash puts confrontation front and center. The Hill's lead tells you officers and protesters had clashed for days, and that the curfew exists to ensure the safety and well-being of all residents. Read this version, and the story is about disorder being contained. Now, the New York Times. Same curfew, but a different protagonist walks on stage first. The governor, not the mayor. And the governor isn't ordering anything. The governor is calling for calm, and the Times adds a detail the Hill's headline leaves out entirely. The unrest, it says, is over living conditions inside the detention center. The Times also counts it as a second consecutive night of unrest, a tighter, cooler timeline than the Hill's for days. So notice what each outlet chose. The Hill foregrounds the clash and the curfew, the response to disorder. The Times foregrounds a plea for calm and the reason people are angry. One leads with the friction, the other leads with the grievance and the appeal to de-escalate. Here's what those choices do to a casual reader. If you only saw the Hill's headline, you'd file this as a public safety story. Protesters versus police, a city restoring order. If you only saw the Times, you'd file it as a story about conditions inside a detention center and officials trying to cool things down. Neither is false. The clash happened. The call for calm happened. The living conditions complaints are real. But which fact lands in the headline, the one slot most readers ever actually read, quietly tells you what the story is about. That's not a lie, it's a lens. That's today's Media Lens. We do this every day. Same stories, different lenses. Subscribe and hit the bell. See you tonight at 6 for the next one. 6.